to wake up. We
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's where the psychedelics can be the catalyst. But the whole thing is then once you wake up, how do you wise up? What do you do with that insight? And that becomes less clear. And and people have they have these insights and then they have all sorts of responses to that, and some of them very creative. I mean, that's the interesting thing and the kind of dismaying thing, Gary, is that we have the tools to do this. We know how to do this. We know what has to be done, to head this thing off as much as possible. I don't think it's possible to head it completely off. We could have done that 20 or 30 years ago. What we can do is mitigate the impact, lessen the impact to a certain degree. But it requires a global perspective. It requires that we get, we have to get ideology out of the way. We have to get politics out of the way. We have to proceed as though we were reasonable people, who can see what's happening and agree that there is a problem. And then you can begin the conversation about how do we respond to it on the collective level and the individual level. And these two things are not separate, I mean, the collective responses may be partly made up of an accumulation of individual small scale type responses. But we're not even at a place where we can agree, at least, I mean, unfortunately, politics is a fact of life, and we can't get things done unless there's a political consensus. And if you look at the political landscape, it's totally screwed up. I mean, we've got people that, we're very good at denial, basically. And we can't even agree that, the last election wasn't stolen and that kind of stuff. So it's, people's ability to believe in the absence of evidence, and as a scientist, and I would say as a reasonable person, I think that evidence is important. Because otherwise you can believe anything you want, but if there's no evidence, then it's basically a fairy story. And you can, so you think that people would respond to what they can see happening around them, especially if they live in some of these impacted places, or what you see on the media. You'd have to be willfully blind to not see what's going on, and to understand that we're in a heap of trouble. And so I'm not sure exactly what what you do, because the thing is, it's not clear that that reason has a place in this, or evidence, or whatever. They're very much and it's interesting that we have more ways to communicate with each other via the internet and so on than we've ever had. So instead of creating this collective sort of planetary mind where we're all on the same page, it's like we've created these different bubbles which don't talk to each other, don't communicate. Everybody's in their silo. And it's very much the attitude of, well, my mind is made up, don't confuse me with facts, and so I'm not sure.
Yeah. We just need a giant paradigm change. That's what it is. It's we all have to just get on that wavelength. You know the wavelength. I know the wavelength. It's the one that we're just like, I'm you, you're me. We're all the same. We're all in this together. Let's try and make this a better place, not only for me, but for future generations. And that's pretty much the premise of it. Let's get over our egos. Let's not worry about, just the dumb problems, the menial problems that we think are important, but truly realize what's important for the globe. And we're not on that paradigm. Let's be honest. There might be a few.
No, we're not. You just articulated what any reasonable person would say. That
Yeah.
tells me that you're a reasonable person and that you can see this. And it's not rocket science. It's pretty obvious,
Yeah.
uh, but we have to get more people to, you know, sort of recognize the value of things like reason and science and evidence and that sort of thing. And many people, that just doesn't fit into their into their views.